Okay, let's start the recording again. So welcome back to TAFFD's Future Africa Conference 2020. I'm joined now by Maria Entregues Abramson.
With an S, actually.
Sorry?
It's with an S, Entregues, not Z at the end, but that's fine.
Okay, that's probably my my pronunciation. Apologies.
No, it's spelled wrong in the card that is on screen.
Ah, okay.
It's all right, it's okay.
So I know that your current role for a number of years, you're the Global Outreach Coordinator for the SENS Research Foundation. But I also know that you're quite an accomplished singer and composer, a private pilot, and you have also been a cultural attaché in Argentina. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you and sharing your views on why we must end aging.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for having me. Thanks to all the organizers. I was going to actually give a presentation with slides and lots of data, which is the last presentation I gave, which was in Spain. But having 15 minutes, I'm not really good at doing short presentations. I have to get better at that. But I started chopping mine and it just didn't look fine. So I decided I was just going to talk to you for 15 minutes and basically, do a little bit of a reflection on the work I do and why I think it's so important, and make you all think a little bit. I know this conference talks about several different subjects and challenges of the world that are all very, very important. I'm going to talk about aging and disease, which in my case, I consider it priority number one, and I dedicate my life to it. So we're living through terrible times now because of this global pandemic. Over 2.6 million people have been infected, well, reported, so probably a lot more. Over 180,000 people are dead already. Hospitals are overwhelmed with people sick, and a lot of people are isolated from their loved ones, suffering a great deal, attached to respirators to be alive. And in reacting to this in pretty much a coordinated manner, the world has taken all kinds of extreme measures to contain the problem. And I wouldn't expect less in front of such a threat. Our health is at stake and our life is at stake. That's a big deal. Millions of people sit down in a lockdown at home. Schools are closed, businesses are closed, businesses that may never open again. Whole country economies are going down. The world as we knew it only a couple months ago has changed completely, and maybe for a long time. All in response to this threat, all in response to a disease. Whole hospitals are being built in record times. Thousands of scientists around the world rush to create vaccines, treatments. We actually, seems like we're gonna create a vaccine in 12 or 18 months, which is totally unprecedented. We usually take between 6 and 10 years to create a vaccine just recently. So it seems like fixing this problem is the world's #1 priority right now. Why is that? Well, you must be thinking, Maria, it's pretty obvious why it is, right? This is a virus that can get us all very sick, and not just that, but kill us all. So what do you expect? Of course, we're gonna do everything we can do. We'll close the whole world down to save lives and not get sick. So I think that's, yeah, fair enough. We all agree that getting sick, and even worse, dying of it, is not something we take lightly. We don't accept disease easily. And in fact, we fight it with all we have. But do we? Let's dig into that. Sometimes, not really. So throughout recorded history, humans have always aged and died. Every person who's ever lived has died. Some died eaten by another animal, of an infection, in some kind of an accident, of a heart attack, fighting a war, or many other ways that can end a person's life. And life is very uncertain. We don't know when or how we will die. But what we know for sure is that if all those people who got killed by something else other than old age wouldn't have died of that other reason, they would have eventually 100% sure died of an age-related disease, or simply call it aging. And yes, we're all infected with it. You, all of you, and me, we're dying of it every minute. Just like infected, like in a pandemic, right? But we still don't categorize aging as a medical problem. And even though aging is very clearly a medical problem, there's no doubt. We have enough information. You know, as we age, the risk of death goes up significantly. Why do you think that is? Because the older we get, the sicker we get, the weaker we get. And if we live long enough, we will inevitably become critically ill with at least one of the many diseases of aging. And one example is that age is the single greatest risk factor for developing cancer. In fact, over 60% of people who have cancer are 65 or older. You know, at age 30, we have a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting cancer in the next year. But by the age of 80, our chance of getting cancer in the next year is 1 in 10, 100 times higher. You probably heard people say, he, she died of aging, but what does that really mean? I don't think we've thought about this definition very much. In reality, every person who dies of old age dies of a medical condition. Every old age death has a clinical explanation, has a name, has a label, you know, heart attack or cancer or kidney failure or stroke, etc. For as long as humans have struggled to understand the nature of our existence, we have not asked many questions about aging. We have pretty much accepted it and surrendered to it, you know, as this natural path that we must all endure. But at the same time, we've been fighting disease for thousands of years. And even though disease is also very natural, we don't surrender to it like we do with aging. We intervene, we modify whatever is necessary to get rid of it. And this makes sense to most of us. It's not even a question, right? But when it comes to aging, for some reason, it's different. Well, aging kills over 150,000 people a day. The people not only die of aging, in most of the cases, what precedes the end is horrible and painful, and that pain and horror can last for years. And it takes everything you are away from you. And you know, what's the point of living like that? And that's getting worse every day in the way we're treating aging. We are extending life in really bad health. We're extending life expectancy, but we're not extending lifespan. So basically we're stretching the ill health period of our lives. That doesn't really work. You know, gerontology and geriatrics are the medical fields in charge of ill health in the elder. But so far, they haven't cured any of these diseases. None of the age-related diseases have been cured. What they do is, you know, they ameliorate the symptoms, they slow down some of these diseases. That's why we live longer. They also, you know, geriatrics and gerontology help us to stay comfortable as we go through all the pain that we go through when we're old. And they also try to understand the metabolic processes that make us sick, which is a mistake, at least if we want to fix this sooner, because the metabolism is so complicated and we know very little about it, and we don't even know how much we don't know about it. So, well, I don't believe that's the way. So even though it's completely obvious that as we age, we lose our health, in all the years of working really hard to advance research in cures, science has not focused on understanding the biology of aging enough to figure out how to change the way we age, or how to treat it in a different way other than trying to modify the metabolism, which it could take for a long time, we believe. That's going to come after. Hopefully one day it will. So we have cured many infectious diseases, but we have not cured one age-related disease. I say it is definitely time for a paradigm shift, and that's what we do at Sense Research Foundation. But that's what we're working on. Aubrey de Grey, our co-founder, worked really hard to understand the process of aging, and he broke it down into 7 types of damage. Maybe several of you already know about this, and he gave a talk yesterday, and he talked about it. That's why our work is based on damage repair. The idea is to intervene at a cellular and molecular level and repair or maintain our molecular machines, our bodies, just as we do with any other machines like cars or airplanes. And it's really an engineering approach. It's called Strategies for Engineered Negligible Senescence. So instead of trying to understand the metabolism and changing it so that those processes don't happen anymore, we can intervene and we can tweak and modify and tackle these processes. So the idea is to develop maintenance therapies so that the damage that happens in our bodies constantly because of metabolism, we can keep them under control and, not let them cross certain thresholds of accumulation of damage that, after you cross those thresholds, then it becomes pathological and we get sick. So it's really like preventative medicine. The idea is that one day we can age without getting sick, because today aging means getting sick. So there's so much progress being made in the labs. This is getting closer and closer. It's very exciting. And I've seen the field grow so much in the past 10 years. It's very encouraging. If we could just make aging a medical priority, if we could take it as seriously as we take this pandemic, we would be able to save countless lives and prevent so much unnecessary suffering and death. In fact, who is this virus killing the most? Well, people over 60 years old. So that's got to tell you something. One of the elements in the process of aging, I believe, makes people not be alarmed enough about it is that it happens slowly. So it doesn't seem urgent. And there's a problem in the mentality about fighting aging. People are conditioned to accepting it. And I consider that's the biggest problem we have in our work, at least in the part of the work that I do, which is not the science. But I sometimes feel that the part of the mentality is even bigger than the science itself. Humans have always died of aging. And during hundreds of years, we've been offered different cures, like snake oils and fountains of youth of all kinds, but they were always fake. So, when I talk to most people and tell them what I work on, they probably don't really believe it's possible. And they think it's science fiction. They don't want to get excited about it. So they're not let down again, because it's always been a farce. And yes, for thousands of years, this was not possible. But now things are very different. Science and technology have advanced in a way that have never before. And today we understand a great deal about aging and how to tackle it so that it doesn't damage us so horribly. Imagine if we, with all the knowledge that we are amassing now, plus the help of AI to help us process it and understand it quicker, we decided to take it seriously, take it as a pandemic, because it is. If the world realized how urgent it is that we do something different about aging, and that we now can do something different about it, if we put all our energy and resources to it, well, that's my dream. Aging is doing the same thing the virus is doing to us. The same thing we are so scared and worried about. And look at how much we've changed to fight it. We're risking everything, but it doesn't matter. It is worth it because it is our health, it is our life, getting sick and dying of aging is no different, people. Disease is disease. So, well, I think it's our moral obligation not to neglect and ignore all the newest information science has about aging. We can't sentence the whole of our species to assured pain, suffering, and death when we have a real chance of saving them. Deciding not to strongly pursue these cures, research, with all we know right now, we've seen stuff with animals that, we've reversed aging, we've done so much, we've gotten so far. It would be just like abandoning all research towards cancer, Parkinson's, or any other disease we're working on so hard. It can be frustrating to see how unreasonable people can be when it comes to the subject. And I have decided that I won't spend time trying to convince anybody who, for whatever reason, is against it. But I do hope that by sharing some of my thoughts with you, I have inspired newcomers to reflect on the subject and possibly join this important crusade that will one day stop the greatest torture and destruction of our species, and ultimately allow humans to be born with a gift of both extreme longevity and enduring health. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Maria. You've got such a beautiful way of describing the issues that we face as we get older. And I think personally, I think it's not so much the biological age, it's the, how can I put it? It's the, as you say, the suffering during those, what could be, 30 or 40 years exactly. in later life, which older generations have just said, well, it's because I'm getting old, I should expect these things. But I personally don't think you should expect these things. I
want to share something with you. Yesterday, I lost my aunt, Ottilia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She was 93. This was her when she was young. And this is the way I will always remember her.
Yeah.
And she used to always tell me, without being aware of what's going on with the longevity field and all this, she would always tell me how sucky aging was and how it took everything she was away from her, slowly but surely, And yeah, it's so bumming. She was such a strong woman, always super healthy and energetic and wise and beautiful. And it's just a terrible thing. We'll one day we'll look back and realize that this was preposterous. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Well, I noticed we got some hands up, so I'd like to, if that's okay, I'd like to open the floor to some questions. Gennady.
Yes. Thank you very much. Good evening, Maria.
Hi, Gennady. How are you?
As well as I can be under the circumstances, and I appreciated your remarks this evening. You and I have both been emphasizing in our communications the connection between biological aging and susceptibility to COVID-19 and other infectious diseases. But what do you think it will take for that connection to become really apparent among the general public, so that there is this groundswell of support for anti-aging, longevity, rejuvenation research, and so that people aren't as myopic as a lot of them seem to be right now, where they think, oh, the number one priority is just to flatten the curve, instead of looking at more fundamental solutions so that that curve doesn't rise in the first place to nearly that same height.
This is definitely going to bring a lot of awareness. That said, it's true that we need solutions, fast. Flattening the curve is something that we're doing right now, not to overwhelm the health system, but we obviously need to rejuvenate the immune system, which is one of the main reasons why it's killing older people, because our immune systems age and become stupid and useless. And that's going to take a little while, you know, it's not going to happen immediately, but this is going to be one more piece of information that is going to help our mission, definitely. And we are meeting with people at Sense every day talking about this. We're amassing data on what is exactly that happens with older people when they get infected with this virus, and we're going to be publishing all that stuff very soon and campaigning about it and do the best we can to not only get to the public but get to, you know, the people who are in positions of with power of doing something, right? And help this paradigm shift happen that I talk about, that we've been talking about at Sense for a while now. And it's just the way that we see aging and the way we research aging and the way we treat aging. It's wrong. It's old. It doesn't work anymore. We need to shift to rejuvenation biotechnology. We need to shift to damage repair. We need to shift to preventing the deterioration to get to that point where that makes us sick, instead of we're focusing on the wrong things. And I think something like this crisis could open some eyes, definitely.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. And when you do publish that research, I would be happy to delve into it, read it, and spread it.
Thank you, Gennady. Yeah, we're working on that every day really hard, and we should have something up on our website very soon. So you will definitely hear about it. We're going to promote it as much as we can. Yeah.
Excellent.
Still going to take a while until people change their minds. You know, what I was saying before about mindset, it's to me, it's the biggest challenge of my work, is to make sure people understand that they make the connection with aging and disease. This is so hard for people to connect for some reason, I think, because, you know, as I was saying, it's been the natural way for so long. It's been the only way, and we couldn't do anything about it before. So, but I think the most important thing is that people can connect aging with disease, because people don't want disease. This is something that we already accepted. We're good with it, with curing disease. There's no controversy about it. No one questions it. But when it comes to aging, it's different. And that's because people need to understand that aging, it's only disease. There's nothing that defines aging that is different than you getting sick. It's making you sick. It makes you so sick that you die of it. So that's how sick it makes you. And that's the only thing aging is. It's nothing else. And people separate it. People say, oh, I don't want to live that long because I'm going to be old. They don't understand. You don't live that long because you're sick, and that's why you're old. It's like, you know, they get into this loop that doesn't make sense.
Professor Aubrey de Grey yesterday was explaining that the impact on the research has slowed down to about a third of what it had been due to obviously social distancing in your facilities and what have you. You know, yeah. Obviously it's this current environment is impacting everything. But in terms of other areas of your work, are you able to still sort of have those conversations that you're needing to have with donors and policymakers despite the lockdowns?
Yeah, we're trying to push on that side now and put a lot of energy into that. And that's the biggest part of my work, is fundraising. So yeah, I've been having quite a few interesting conversations in the past 3 weeks with donors, and the current situation with the coronavirus, just like Gennady suggested, in a way helps with that, because it's making us see, but we talked about the morbidities in older people and how it affects the virus affects them more. So yes, we've been doing a lot of that. I've been doing a little bit of celebrity outreach too, and gotten a celebrity to do a video for us, and it's a surprise. I won't say anything now, but we'll have it up soon. And yeah, we're trying to do all that part of the work, you know, put more emphasis on the outreach side of things and fundraising, because, you know, at some point we will all go back to work, hopefully. And we'll hopefully come back stronger. But yeah, it is very bumming that we had to halt, you know, most of our research right now in the lab. Is terrible. I consider there's not a minute to lose in terms of fixing aging. And but yeah, I mean, this other threat, it's real, and it happens quickly, and you know, you can die in 2 weeks, and you know, it's so understandable that we need to take care of this right now. But at the same time, I wish people could see that if we could observe what we're doing, the you know, the scale of what we're doing right now is huge, right? Because of the threat of a disease and getting sick and dying, and that's, and we at the same time we accepted aging doing that to us in a horrible way, and we don't even see it. People don't even talk about it. People even find an old person cute, you know, or make jokes about someone that, I forgot what they were saying, or, you know, it's we have such a wrong concept. We're in such a wrong place about aging that, you know, I wish this would change a little bit of the thinking of people. Well, I think I made that clear.
I thought you were, for a moment, you were going to give us, you know, an exclusive that you know, of the celebrity that you've partnered with.
What do you say? You wanted me to
no,
give you?
I thought you were going to give us an exclusive then for who you partnered with for promotion.
Oh, I know. I can't say.
I'm not
I can tell you so that you're you know, tuned in to everything we're doing. So that we're going to have a video with a celebrity and talking about the relationship between COVID and aging, and why people should think about it, and donors should support our work. Yeah.
I think the problem with the fact that with aging, it's something that we've been socially conditioned to from an early age. You know, obviously when you're very young, you have no concept of death, but as you get older, that you understand that, you know, that it is inevitable at some point. We're not immortal. We're not part of some Marvel Comics immortality.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think it takes something like, you know, the coronavirus to wake people up a little bit to understand, because obviously aging is almost a slow motion. Is, you know, aging creeps up on us, and then we make allowances for forgetfulness, for all the things that are related to that cellular degeneration, and we almost accept that it's inevitable. I personally don't. I think you know, our own minds are and the ability to heal ourselves, and I speak from experience, from a severe brain injury 9 years ago, where I lost all my memory and things. I know what our own bodies are capable of, and with assistance, with the research that SENS are doing, I think it, you know, that it will become a reality. It's not if, it is will. It's just a matter of when.
100%. Yeah, it's a matter of when, and a matter of when, and if it happens in our lifetimes or not, depends on how much people realize this is important, how much funding we can get, how much, you know, governments and big systems realize that, wait a minute, we're looking at aging in the wrong way, and because they're working really hard on it. It's not that they're not, you know, geriatrics and gerontology, but look at what they're achieving. Like what I was saying before, they're achieving this stretching of this ill health time, and so it's almost like saying, you know, they're extending the agony of it, right? Your agony is not, nothing is solved. It's not being solved. So it's yeah, it's a matter of time. It's not if, it's when, but it really depends, you know, if it's gonna be 50 years or 200 years or 15 years, depends on how much we can, you know, spread the word, get the funds, and convince a lot of politicians that they need to change the system towards this approach. So we don't know. It can take, you know, the way that things are moving now, maybe it would take a big discovery to be public suddenly, and people will see, oh, wow, this is real, and I want it, you know, but they will actually need to see something they can process and understand, like, you know, the rejuvenation of an animal, see something very clear like that, and then you know, that it can be translated into, I don't know, something that will blow their minds and be like, okay, this is real, and maybe that will accelerate the whole thing. I'm not sure.
I noticed Gennady had his hand up, so we'll just unmute. Oops. There we go. You have the floor again.
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to mention, with regard to children initially not knowing about death and then finding out and not really having any rational way to address the subject. This is the reason why I wrote this book, Death is Wrong. It's an illustrated children's book on indefinite life extension, because I never accepted death as a child. I was one of those stubborn children who believed that he was right, and I had this moral sense that death was a great injustice, that how is it that if people have done nothing heinously wrong, they haven't killed anyone, why would they themselves essentially be sentenced to the death penalty? And for me, that was a motivating factor for the rest of my life, to seek ways to contribute to this cause of life extension within our lifetimes. So I hope other children will read this book and be inspired to venture into this field, either as researchers or as activists for this effort. Thank you,
Gennady, for all you do. We all really appreciate you in the community. I hope you know that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, I also felt like that since I was a little girl. Something very strange. I was very, very little. I don't even know how old I was, but I would look at old people and feel that it was very wrong. Something was so wrong, and they'd be moaning in pain and walking slowly. And I would keep asking questions to my family, and all they would tell me is, well, they're old, you know, they're old, and we all get old. And then one day my sister told me, we're all born dead, she said to me. And I remember that hit me. It's like, what? It was so shocking to hear that. And I think it was that made me want to know more and understand better what aging was. And I would always observe people and see what their reactions were in front of aging. And it was strange to me to see that it was so normal for everybody, and no one was talking about it. No one was, you know, like somebody else would be sick of anything else, and it would be the worst thing you can hear, the saddest thing, the most dramatic thing in the family, someone got cancer. They're so sick and they're gonna die of it. But then I was seeing, you know, grandma that was like bent over with bones were falling apart, and oh yeah, no, she's old. No. So what? How can you? What's the difference? So I always, yeah, since I was a little girl, of course I couldn't talk about it with anybody. I grew up in Argentina, and you know, we had other problems to worry about, like, you know, having enough food and work and roof, and huge problems in my country all the time. But then, not until I moved here, I didn't get formally involved with it. And one day I just found out about Aubrey, that Aubrey existed, and I wrote to him immediately, and I said, oh my God, I've been thinking like you for so long, and what can I do to help you? I want to help you. I want to be part of your crusade. And that's how everything started. That was it. That was like 16 years ago.
Are there
Anyway.
any other questions, perhaps that some of the other participants would like to raise with Maria? Let's give you a moment to find your raising the hand button. No? Okay, I think in which case, Maria, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us here today, this evening.
My pleasure.
And we hope that we will emerge from this lockdown, this global lockdown, with different, not so much, I think, the people that are here with different values, but certainly as a wider community, a wider humanity with a bit more humility and a different sense of consciousness and awareness of what really is important in life, and that is life.
So true, Edward. Such wise words, and I think we will learn a lot from this.
Yeah, I think, you know, as I think I may have said, you know, it's not until you have something like this where people are forced to consider and inwardly digest the true fragility of life and what it means, especially when you're separated. I think that's the other thing is that it's the human contact, it's the actual physical isolation from, you know, parents, grandparents, not being able to have that human contact.
Very hard.
There are going to be, unfortunately, so many people that will pass away in care homes and hospitals, not necessarily as a result of the virus, but because of other illnesses, and their loved ones weren't close by. And as I said, that's, you know, the importance of the work that SENS are doing. You know, there's a research foundation to take some of that pain and grief away. If only to the fact that we say, okay, the average lifespan doesn't increase beyond, let's say, 100. You know, we already know that it will, but you know, that you will be pain-free for those 100 years. You know, that's a different gift.
You are, though, I don't know if I have a minute, but you are making a mistake that a lot of people make when you say that. That's a confusion. If we reach 100 because we succeeded in our work, it means that we're not going to be sick enough to die at 100. So it means that we're going to have a lot more life extension than you think. Do you understand? Like, when you can die, what are you going to die of?
I was just trying to use that as an average. You know, I mean, life expectancy in different...
So you're saying we're still going to get sick at 100 and die of it. So you say, okay, we'll extend it a little bit at least. Or you say we'll extend it in a way that, because if we're going to be without pain, and that means healthy, we're not going to die of it either at 100. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know, I do.
But yeah, we'll hopefully get healthy enough so that we don't die of it, even if we're not completely pain-free. And maybe that's what you were referring to. And then we'll gain more time, and like that, you know, technology will keep advancing so that we can completely get aging under medical control.
Well, I already know, I mean, so, you know, in other areas, Dean Kamen's research, he got an 800 million grant from the US government last August. And I was fortunate enough to be with him when he was sharing that information that the week that he was awarded it, to actually look at, you know, complete human kidney replacements. So, you know, there are advances in all areas of medicine. And I think one of the,
very well, yeah.
I was just about to say, one of the things that I get the sense of is that we are accelerating in our advancements in terms of we're no longer linear in our approaches to the research and the breakthroughs that we're making.
Yeah, it's exponential. And the very good thing about the approach that SENS has is that it's a comprehensive approach. So we're not going to be fixing things separately. We're going to fix the whole of aging. And most likely by the time that we really fixed aging, we would have fixed a lot of other diseases. So we're not going to have cardiovascular disease anymore, or cancer, Alzheimer's, obviously, you know. So that's what we. So if we had the $100 million that Dean, our friend Dean, got, we could do a lot for aging, and it would be comprehensive. It would be systemic. It would be not just fixing one problem. Like, even if we fixed cancer today, which is a huge deal, it would not make a big difference in terms of our life expectancy. Yeah. Anyway.
Once again, Maria, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on sharing your story and the work of SENS Research Foundation.
Thank you, organizers, and hopefully next time we can do this, but in person, in Rwanda or wherever you guys will have a conference.
That would be lovely.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Are we continuing the conference, or this is it?
Sorry, say again?
Is this it, or you have more sessions?
We have 2 more sessions, but
great.
I was just, whilst you were speaking, I was just trying to establish if our next speaker was actually
there or not.
Was joining us. But the next one after that is at 10:30 p.m. Or 6:30 in the UK. 6:30 a.m. that is in the UK. And so yes, I will obviously keep the bridge open, and
I'll stick around.
but please feel free to take a break.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye. See you soon.
Bye bye.
Stay safe.
We will do.
Thanks.
And you.